Hi, this is Kalen Caron Vasquez from DivingDragonGames.com and YourCardSleeves.com, and I just wanted to take a moment to answer a few questions. Well, one question in specific. A lot of people keep asking me what the quality is like on the card sleeves I produce, and what better way to answer that question than with a video. But first, I just wanted to go on a little bit of a tangent. I've had this prototype as the centerpiece of my videos for almost a year now, and I think it's time to retire it. So this is the sleeve print that started it all. Now getting retired and replaced with a nice production quality card sleeve. This will be the new centerpiece of my videos. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, I think it's time to show you what a production quality card sleeve looks like. Now, the most common question I get is, what brand are my sleeves most similar to? And honestly, that's a bit of a tricky question. Each brand is unique. It has its own idiosyncrasies. Mine is no different. But I'd say the brand that my sleeves are most similar to would have to be the sleeves produced by Fantasy Flight Games. Because, like Fantasy Flight Games, I don't use a top laminate to protect the art. Instead, I use a clear coat. And the clear coat that I use is actually rated for outdoor use. It's meant to be used on vinyl signs that you see hanging around on buildings. It's got superior UV blockage, and it's very abrasion proof. Actually, you can see in one of my older videos where I take one of my prototypes and run a jagged razor edge down the side and there's no damage. So these are meant to stand up, they're meant to give you more bang for your buck. And even better is the brand that I use, now that I'm comfortable with it, also comes in matte, so I can make really nice quality matte card sleeves. So I'll be working with those in the near future, and of course, anyone who's waiting on their pre-order or Kickstarter order, you can request matte coating instead of gloss. Now, one of the main differences between the card sleeves that I produce and the ones that are common on the market is the plastic. I use a different form of plastic. The most common plastic used for card sleeves is polypropylene. I use polyethylene. Now, yes, they're big words. And I know a few of you out there are wondering if these are made out of archive-safe plastic, and I will say yes. Yes, your card sleeves are made out of archive-safe plastic. The only plastic that I would avoid using would be PVC, because it's got a nasty habit of breaking down into a form of acid that will dissolve your photographs or your cards. So I don't touch it. I use polyethylene. I'm going to stick with polyethylene and go from there. Now, another big difference, I should say one of the big differences between polypropylene and polyethylene is that polyethylene cannot get as crystal clear as polypropylene, though there is no cloudiness in these sleeves. It's just one notch below polypropylene. That's not a bad thing, actually. Like I said, the clarity, let me pull the card out of the sleeve. Clarity's fine. Not much of a difference. And of course, the polyethylene is a bit more flexible than polypropylene, so that's where the ridges come from. Once I get better at die cutting, which I should say once I start die cutting, those ridges will be all but gone. So no worries about that, but those are really the only downsides to using polyethylene over polypropylene. And fortunately, the positives outweigh the negatives. Now, one of the main reasons I chose polyethylene is simple: economics. Or I should say, availability and economics. I have no problem getting the clear fronts for polypropylene sleeves and the thicknesses that I need. That's no problem. The important part of the sleeve, that being the opaque white that makes a nice print-friendly surface, well, once I'm done treating it, is the problem. I cannot find economic sources for opaque white polypropylene in the volume or in the thicknesses that I need. I would actually have to get it custom produced from a manufacturer, and you're dealing with a minimum order of 5,000 pounds, that being much higher price than I'd be willing to pay per square foot. Now, if I wanted to get smaller volumes, I can usually find it in rolls of 150 square feet, but you're looking at about $200, and at that point, I would have to charge nearly $100 a pack of sleeves, a pack of 60 sleeves, to even turn a profit, and I don't think anybody would pay that. So I chose polyethylene, which I have absolutely no problem getting in small batches for a great price, and I pass my savings on to you guys. Now, another great benefit, actually, not just in the ability to get the plastic, but one structural benefit of polyethylene as opposed to polypropylene is that sidewelds and heat seals done with polyethylene are much stronger than heat seals done with polypropylene. And my sleeves take double advantage of that because not only am I using polyethylene, but I've also designed a much wider weld. And not only is that a necessary aspect of the sleeve for small batch production, but it also produces a much stronger seal than your standard polypropylene sleeves, because I've had them snap right out of the pack before. So there's that. And of course, unlike polyethylene, polypropylene is hard to print. Well, okay, polyethylene is also very hard to print, but I have found my own secret mix of herbs and spices that allows me to print on polyethylene. Polypropylene, on the other hand, to print on it, you need to run it through a lithography press, which anyone who's tried to go to a commercial printer knows that's not cheap. And making a pack of 60 cards using that process it's not really going to happen. That's why no other company produces sleeves in batches smaller than 55,000 sleeves of a single design. It's as simple as that. And so those are the basics of this. Now, like I've said before, great clarity. The prints actually come out great because I use a modified 6-color printer as opposed to a 4-color printer. If I used a 4-color printer, you would be seeing a lot of what's called dithering, which means that each individual color is made up of a series of dots that gives the illusion of being that color. Whereas using a 6-color printer, a lot of the midtones are actually readily available without having to create dithering spots. I really wish I had a 4-color print sample. But anyone who has seen a photo quality printer versus a standard 4-color inkjet knows what I'm talking about. So, really good quality prints there. Like I said, the clear coat really makes this nice and durable. Not going to peel off. Yeah, I think that about covers it. You know, you've got nice straight cuts, and not going to lie, if you see a little inconsistency here, it's only because I made this to test my heat sealer before getting my hands on a cutting die. I am making my own cutting die starting this weekend, so I can mass produce these really quickly. A hand cut sleeve takes several minutes per sleeve just to make sure everything lines up, whereas a die cut sleeve takes only several seconds for an entire sheet. So, if you're wondering why I haven't made my shuffle video, it's because I don't want to go insane hand cutting a deck worth of sleeves. But, starting next week, I will have my cutting die, so look for the shuffle video shortly thereafter. I mean, if I'm not going crazy producing an amazingly large amount of sleeves. For, well, everyone who's been oh so patient with me. But yeah. Custom art card sleeves. They are no longer something that people have been buying for. And like I've said in many videos, they're tournament they are tournament legal. Well, these are not tournament legal because, well, They're too small, unless you're playing Geek Fight, and they don't have the solid-colored border, but for Geek Fight, these are tournament legal. Why? Because I made the game and I said so. But if you want them to be tournament legal for your standard run-of-the-mill card game, first make sure your game allows third-party art sleeves. Not all of them do. And then if they do allow third-party art sleeves, you're going to want to follow the tutorial I put up earlier this month to see just how to prep your artwork. It includes a solid color border. It can be any color you like. The solid color border is just because die cutting, though it ensures a nice straight cut and identical cuts, isn't always centered, so most games are a little bit wary about full bleed art because a slight differentiation in the centering of a cut means that it could be potentially used as a marked card. At least that's their justification. So I've had a lot of people ask me about the solid color borders. Are they necessary? Yes, if you want your sleeves to be tournament legal. Though, I've shown this one before, you could always bleed the color into the border. This uses a solid color border, but it incorporates it in the entire piece. So there are ways to get around it. I think that just about covers all the bases. If there are any other questions, feel free to leave them in the comments or send me a message. I'll get back to you as soon as I can, though I can't guarantee it'll be that quickly just because of the amount of sleeves that I have to make. But the good news is that with the die cutter and a few small mods that I'm putting on my heat sealer, it's really not going to take me that much time to turn around these orders once I get rolling. So there is a silver lining to this. I think that covers all of the quality questions like I've shown you before. Great quality prints, nice clear front, solid welds, straight cuts. Oh, one other concern that has popped up is because I'm doing die cutting, you won't have the problem of some sleeves being significantly shorter than the others in your pack. I've gotten packs in the past, and other people have gotten packs in the past, where you've got a good 1 to 2 millimeter difference on the end cut due to the fact that the majority of sleeves are guillotine cut. So you end up with some shorter sleeves, which ultimately renders them unusable because they could be considered marked, or sometimes they're just too short for the card to actually fit in properly. So I will not have that issue. And by popular demand, the custom art card sleeves for standard and Japanese size will be the proper size to hold a perfect fit clear sleeve inside, so you can double sleeve your cards. And don't worry, if you don't plan on double sleeving your cards, these sleeves are not wide enough where you have a risk of your card falling out of the sleeve. So that, I think, covers it. Like I said, I will be making a shuffle video later on. I have no guarantees on when it'll be up, but I'm shooting to have it ready by next week. I have rambled on long enough, so I will talk to everyone later.